The Victorian mansion on Maple Street had been my dream since childhood. I'd spend hours walking past it, imagining living in its towering turrets and elegant rooms. For 10 years, I saved every penny, waiting for the day it would go on sale. So when I saw my family's cars parked in its driveway, my heart nearly stopped. I'm Rebecca Chin, 35, and I just discovered my family had bought the home I dreamed of for years. They knew how much I wanted it. I talked about nothing else since the for sale sign went up 3 months ago. "Oh, good you're here," my sister Amanda called from the front porch, waving with exaggerated enthusiasm. "We wanted to surprise you." My parents stood beside her, my father jingling the keys while my mother beamed. The smug satisfaction on their faces told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't just about buying a beautiful house. This was about beating me again. "Isn't it perfect?" Amanda gushed, leading me inside. "When we heard you were planning to bid on it, we just knew we had to have it instead. It's much too grand for just you anyway." I kept my expression neutral as I followed them through the rooms and memorized from the online listing. The original hardwood floors, the hand-carved banisters, the stained glass windows. All the details I'd fallen in love with were now theirs. "We'll host all the family gatherings here now," my mother announced, "since you never entertained properly in that tiny apartment of yours." What they didn't know was that I'd been 3 steps ahead of them. The moment I'd spotted my sister touring the house last month, I'd known what they were planning. It was exactly like them. They'd spent my whole life turning everything into a competition, then acting surprised when I was upset about losing. But this time, I hadn't lost. While they were focused on snatching my dream house, I'd been quietly closing on Riverside Manor, the even larger, more historic mansion next door. The renovations were already underway, transforming it into something that would make the Victorian look modest in comparison. "It must have been expensive," I said casually, watching their faces. "The market's so competitive right now." "Oh, we managed," my father said, puffing up with pride. "Some of us know how to handle money properly, unlike certain people who waste it all on education." The dig at my PhD didn't sting like it used to. My wasted education had led to a successful research career, earning me more than they realized. While they saw me as the family disappointment, unmarried, childless, focused on work, I'd been building a life that would have shocked them. "Well, it's lovely," I said, heading for the door. "I should get going. I have some moving arrangements to take care of myself." "Moving?" Amanda's eyebrows shot up. "Don't tell me you're finally leaving that shabby apartment." I smiled. "Something like that. I'll see you all soon. We'll be neighbors after all." I left them standing there confused, savoring the knowledge of what was coming. In 2 weeks, the moving trucks would arrive at Riverside Manor, and my family would realize that their perfect plan to outdo me had backfired spectacularly. But for now, I had contractors to meet and renovations to oversee. The wine cellar needed updating, and the ballroom's chandeliers were being restored to their original glory. My family had always underestimated me, treated me as competition rather than kin. They were about to learn that they'd been playing checkers while I was playing chess all along. 2 weeks later, I stood in my newly renovated foyer at Riverside Manor, watching through the floor-to-ceiling windows as moving trucks pulled up to my property. Right on schedule, my sister Amanda appeared on her front porch, coffee in hand, curiosity evident on her face. I smiled, knowing the show was about to begin. The movers started unloading premium furniture, antiques I collected over the years, and artwork that would make my mother's reproductions look cheap in comparison. Each piece had been carefully chosen to tell a story. The story of the success I'd built while my family was busy undermining me. "Ms. Chen," one of the movers approached with a clipboard. "Where would you like the grand piano? The music room or the ballroom?" I could see Amanda's coffee cup freeze halfway to her mouth. "The ballroom." My family's Victorian had many lovely features, but a ballroom wasn't one of them. "The music room for now," I replied. "The ballroom chandeliers are still being restored." Within an hour, my parents' car came screeching into their driveway. They'd obviously received Amanda's urgent call. I continued directing the movers, pretending not to notice as my family gathered on their porch, watching the parade of luxury items entering Riverside Manor. "Rebecca." My mother's voice carried across the lawn. "What's going on?" I turned, affecting surprise. "Oh, hello, just moving into my new home." "Would you like a tour?" They followed me inside, their faces growing increasingly pale as they took in the grand staircase, the original moldings, the hand-painted ceiling murals. Every room was larger, every feature more impressive than their Victorian. But, how? Amanda sputtered. You couldn't afford. Actually, I cut in smoothly, I could. All those years you thought I was struggling in my tiny apartment, I was investing, saving, building my portfolio. Did you really think I lived below my means because I had to? My father's face had turned an interesting shade of red. You let us believe. I let you believe what you wanted to believe, I said. Just like you let me believe you cared about my dreams when you outbid me on the Victorian. Fair's fair. I led them through the house, past the library with its two-story bookshelves, through the conservatory with its rare plants, into the state-of-the-art kitchen that made their gourmet setup look outdated. And this, I said, opening a set of double doors, is the ballroom where I'll be hosting the annual family Christmas party this year. I assume that won't be a problem. My mother clutched her pearls. But we always host Christmas. Well, things change, I smiled. Besides, my ballroom can actually fit the whole family comfortably. No more cramped quarters. As they stood there speechless, my phone buzzed. Excuse me, I said, checking the message. That'll be the interior designer. We're discussing plans for the rooftop garden. Rooftop garden? Amanda's voice had risen an octave. Oh yes, I replied casually. The view of your house from up there is quite lovely. You can see right into your backyard. They left shortly after, huddled together, whispering furiously. Through my windows, I watched them return to their Victorian. The house they'd bought to spite me, now overshadowed both literally and figuratively by my success. That evening, as I sat in my library enjoying a glass of wine, the texts started rolling in. First from Amanda. You planned this all along, didn't you? Then from my mother. We should discuss Christmas arrangements. Finally, from my father. We need to talk about your investment strategies. I left them all unread. For years, they treated every family gathering like a competition, every success of mine as a challenge to be overcome. Now they'd have to live next door to the daily reminder that their plan had backfired spectacularly. The next morning, I hired a landscaping company to begin work on my gardens. The noise would start early, very early, and continue for weeks. Sometimes karma comes with a soundtrack of power tools and construction equipment. Welcome to the neighborhood, dear family. Let the games begin. 2 months after my move to Riverside Manor, I hosted my first neighborhood gathering. A garden party that showcased everything my property had to offer. My family watched from their considerably smaller yard as caterers set up elegant tables beneath imported pergolas, and string musicians took their places near the fountain. Isn't this a bit excessive? My mother asked when they finally made their way over, unable to resist the allure of the party they hadn't been invited to plan or control. Not at all, I replied, accepting a champagne flute from a passing server, just welcoming the neighbors properly. The guest list was carefully curated. Local business leaders, university colleagues, and notably several real estate developers who couldn't stop talking about how Riverside Manor was raising property values in the area. My family's Victorian, while charming, was now considered the smaller, less impressive house on the block. Amanda cornered me by the rose garden. Was this your plan all along? To make us look foolish? No, I said truthfully. My plan was to buy my dream house. You're the ones who made it a competition. I just decided to play by your rules for once. The party was a resounding success, establishing me as the neighborhood's new social center. My family's attempts to host competing events in their Victorian fell flat. Everyone preferred the grandeur of Riverside Manor's ballroom and gardens. One morning, about 6 months after I moved in, my father showed up at my door. We're thinking of selling, he admitted gruffly. The maintenance costs are higher than we expected. I nodded sympathetically. Victorian homes can be quite expensive to maintain. Though I hear property values have risen significantly since I renovated Riverside Manor. He shifted uncomfortably. Yes, well, we thought perhaps you'd be interested in buying it. Keep it in the family. Why would I want a smaller house? I asked innocently. Besides, I quite enjoy watching you all live with the consequences of your choices. They didn't sell. Their pride wouldn't let them. Instead, they had to adapt to their new reality. Every family gathering at my house was a reminder of how their attempt to outdo me had backfired. Every improvement I made to Riverside Manor made their Victorian look a little shabbier in comparison. Christmas that year was particularly satisfying. The ballroom, decorated with professional skill, hosted our entire extended family comfortably. Cousins who had once echoed my parents' criticisms of my life choices now asked about investment advice and career strategies. As I watched my family navigate the party, looking small in the grand space they had never imagined I could own, I felt no triumph, only a quiet satisfaction. They had spent years trying to compete with me to prove their superiority. In the end, they had only competed with themselves. "Your house is magnificent," my Aunt Sarah said, finding me by the Christmas tree. "Though I can't help but wonder if it's a bit lonely, all this space for just one person." I smiled, thinking of the research center I was planning to establish in the East Wing. "Not lonely at all. I've filled it with exactly what I want, just like I've filled my life with what I want, not what others think I should want." My family still lives next door in their Victorian, a daily reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above. They wanted to teach me a lesson about knowing my place. Instead, they learned one about underestimating me. As for me, I host charity events in my ballroom, write research papers in my library, and enjoy my rooftop garden with its perfect view of their smaller house. Sometimes I catch them watching from their windows as I entertain guests or work on new improvements to the property. Let them watch. They spent years treating me like competition instead of family. Now they get to spend years living next door to the constant reminder that they lost a game they never should have started.